Hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to the Kortex Media Podcast, where we navigate the fast-paced world of automotive and more. I'm your host, Corson Schmidt. Here today, I have Paul Ashe. Paul is a respected leader in the automotive service industry and a driving force behind Metro Motor. One of the most trusted names in auto repair and maintenance in the Washington, D.C. area. With years of experience, Paul has helped Metro Motor grow its reputation for delivering reliable, same-day service by a team of SAE certified professionals across multiple locations. He's known for his commitment to technical excellence and for fostering a customer-first culture that keeps driving customers back. Beyond the shop, Paul is passionate about giving back, with Metro Motor actively supporting local events and community initiatives. His leadership has made Metro Motor a go-to destination for quality auto care and valued partner in the neighborhoods they serve. It's great to have you on, Paul.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
No worries. So to start things off, we'll just dive into your background and kind of how you got started with Metro Motor and what drew you towards the automotive industry.
Yeah, so I don't have a background in automotive at all. But I come from a marketing and branding background, and so
Okay.
that's
You
my
can speak
role
on
here.
that too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have degrees in marketing communications, mass communications, branding, and intercultural communications, and so that took me around to quite a few wonderful places, just helping marketing from mostly a regional and trade perspective, so how industries and regions are communicating their products of origin. I wound up back here in Washington, D.C., which is an amazing place to live and work. And about 10 or 12 years ago now, met one of the partners at Metro Motor, who was just forming the Metro Motor company as it exists today. I think at that time they had acquired their third independent repair shop, and were looking to kind of brand everybody together under one umbrella. Before that, it might have been, Capitol Hill Exxon or Parker's Exxon or, Tim's Mobile, whatever it might have been.
Yeah.
But recognizing the need to have these all kind of under one brand so that they could grow from there. And so that's how I got started. I was asked to help formulate the brand of Metro Motor. First coming up with the name, but then rolling out a suite from there of websites, social handles, things like that. And so consulting, working on the brand for the past decade or so. And then a year ago, almost exactly, having grown quite significantly in that time, they thought it's actually a good time to have a full-time marketer come on board and take the brand to the next level. And so that's when I was asked to stay on full-time, and I said yes. So over the last year, then we've kind of, in conjunction with another, some large company-wide initiatives, really galvanized our marketing and customer outreach.
Super cool. Do you mind just letting the audience know what you guys do at Metro Motor and kind of the locations you guys are based?
Yeah, so we have three divisions and a kind of a fourth adjunct service. So we're primarily known for our auto repair. We have 18 auto repair locations across the DC metro area, DMV. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Those are full service auto repair shops. So anything that goes bump or makes a weird noise in your car, you can come to us and we can get that taken care of. In addition to that, we have a towing fleet. So I think now is the largest towing fleet in our national capital area. We're able to transport anything from, a breakdown on the side of the road with our roadside assistance vehicles as well, all the way up to, a semi-truck breaks down and we need to get that off the road, or a school bus or what have you. In addition to that, we have our full-service collision center and auto body shop. And so if there's, a vehicle accident or a crash or cosmetic body work, from everything from dents and scratches and chips all the way up to I want to pimp out my ride, we can handle that there at our collision center. And what makes us unique in particular as a company is that all of these services kind of fluidly work together. So if you have a breakdown on the side of the road, our towing company can get you to an auto repair shop and get you rolling again quite quickly. Or if you're at an auto repair shop and we notice, hey, we could actually take care of that dent on the side or that scratch running down your car. And so everything, once you're in the auto or the Metro Motor family, we offer free towing to any of our other locations or services. And so
That's awesome.
Helps you kind of get everything taken care of nice and easily.
For sure, it's nice and convenient for the consumer, and that's the most
Exactly.
important thing, right? What steps do you take to ensure that every customer receives the same level of care and expertise, no matter which Metro shop they visit?
That's a great question, and something we're working very hard on right now. So we have what we kind of call our foundry or our training center, and that's one of our. It's actually two shops. They're directly across the street from each other in Clarendon, which is a neighborhood of Arlington in Northern Virginia, and we kind of use that as our training base. So we'll bring in service managers, technicians, customer service experience specialists over to our Clarendon shop, train them up on how we as Metro Motor do business, and then send them back to their respective shops with a whole mess of tools and insight and information to get the job done the Metro Motor way. And then that's always continuously refining and improving as well. Because by no means have we perfected a system, but we do strive rather for perfection. So we are constantly improving, innovating, and then incorporating, rolling it out across the family of shops.
For sure. How often do you guys do these training days where you'll bring in people from the shops and actually run them through your training?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the kind of initiative we're rolling out right now. We've got kind of daily somebody's in our Clarendon shop, just because awesome. We have a very large team and there's a lot of people to get through.
For sure.
But the idea is that because we have this one kind of crucible of information, it can kind of dissipate across the Metro Motor family quite quickly that way. It also kind of gets a lot of buy-in and excitement from the team because we'll implement it at Clarendon, we'll test it out, we'll try it out, we'll get customer feedback and experience, and then kind of in real time be able to tweak, modify, and roll it out.
That's awesome. That's super cool. And that moves me on to my next question. How do you ensure that your team stays motivated and inspired to be engaged and keep learning new things within the industry, new things within their specific department, and keep things rolling forward as a company?
Yeah, in a couple of ways, I guess. So we have routine training for techs and service managers throughout the year. So we'll bring in some of our partner suppliers or part specialists, like BG, for instance, will come over and they'll do a presentation and kind of an interactive demo on some of their new fluids that they've got out. And in that manner, we kind of keep our team up with the latest and, not only in what's on the market and why, it could be good for certain vehicles, but also the actual implementation, the hands-on, when is this right for the car? How do we implement it on a vehicle? That kind of thing. So that's one side of let's keep everybody knowledgeable and kind of progressing ahead in their career itself. We also have internal kind of development and helping people grow through the ranks. So we'll have somebody that starts out maybe as a tech or a helper in one of our shops, and they can kind of move up to a service advisor and a service manager. Or even a partner or an owner in one of the locations. And so we try to foster that internal growth and trajectory as best as possible. And I think that gives people a lot of excitement and reason to stay and stick around because there's definitely growth within the company. And then in addition to that, we've got a lot of really awesome opportunities just to hang out and become more of a family. So in a couple weeks, we're hosting our kind of family barbecue where every Metro Motor employee and their families can come. We've got brisket on the grill, and we're going to have a great afternoon. But then, awesome. We've got trips out to ball games, or we've got our kind of I don't want to say notorious, but we're well known for our holiday party, which is a lot of fun. But it's just a way to keep everybody within the company knowing in your fellow employees. We have a large company, and we're geographically centered around DC, but also DC is a big place, so you might not know what's going on 20 minutes away from you. And so keeping everybody together and meeting and socializing with each other, I think, is a great way to bond and grow the company.
For sure, I think that's very important. For sure, having having everyone know each other and kind of sharing that knowledge, because you might have some master techs that know a Volkswagen very well, and you might have a master tech that knows a Honda very well, and they're two completely different cars, and then they'll be working together as one, and it's nice.
And that actually brings us back to why having a towing fleet is really handy, because we have a guy over here that is an amazing under the hood of a Lamborghini, and if we got a Lamborghini roll into a different shop, we can move it to that tech rather than having the tech kind of hustle around. So quite convenient.
That's awesome. That makes it super easy, and I love that you guys are doing your barbecues. I hope I can come. Am I invited?
Absolutely. 2 Saturdays from now.
Perfect. I'll be there.
Great.
Anyways, that's super cool. that you guys do that, because there's a lot of companies that are all work, and they don't actually take the time to let their employees go have some fun, or they don't buy the trips, like the little ball game trips, just so everyone can meet each other and get along. And I think that's huge as a company to do, to keep everyone happy and give
100%.
them that extra little incentive of working for the company as well. For sure. And that's kind of leads me into my next question. What are some of the most important factors in building a long-term relationship with your customers as well? You have a long-term relationship with your employees, but how do you swap that over to your customers as well, and how do you guys measure customer loyalty?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest answer for that is just treat them well, right?
Sure.
We're in the kind of independent auto repair realm. The public perception is a lot of times, oh, those are dark and dingy and like oily places, right? That you don't really want to go into.
Yeah.
And the public at large might think, oh, they're just trying to scam me out. I don't actually know if this issue with the vehicle is necessary or not. They're probably just trying to get some more money out of me. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty poor perception overall for the industry in automotive repair from an independent side. But then on the dealership side, you also have they might look, bright new showroom spaces, but you also customers complain about being gouged on pricing and things like that as well. And so what we try to do is do all of that better. So in terms of what attracts our customers and what keeps them coming back is just treating them like a neighbor. Each of our shops are set up kind of like neighborhood shops. So we have Metro Motor in Clarendon, as I mentioned, or Metro Motor in Dale City or Georgetown or Capitol Hill. In these areas, we kind of foster and people know the service manager at that shop. They've been going to him for 10 years. They're going to keep going to him because they know and trust him. So one, kind of delivering on the promise of good auto repair. If we do our job well, then you have no reason to go somewhere else. But then taking a step above that is just treating people awesome as soon as they come through the door. So greeting them with a smile, offering them a cold beverage out of the fridge. If they're dropping off the car, then offering them an Uber or Lyft to where they're going. Just those little things that might cost us a few extra dollars, but it means the customer's happy. They're going to come back the next time they have an issue with their vehicle, and then keep coming back to Metro Motor for all services.
For sure, that's the most important thing, is that service retention. Keep your customers happy and coming back, and give them no reason to go to another shop. How important has marketing been in the Metro Motor side after you said that you helped start the brand Metro Motor, and how important has it been, the marketing side of things, to get your name out there and really get a good customer service or customer base?
Well, I'd say it's very important, especially if my bosses are listening. But I think but overall, the concept of marketing kind of drives or reinforces a customer's perspective and perception of what a company is. So hopefully, folks that see the Metro Motor logo on the side of a building or see one of our tow trucks around town, they'll think, "Oh, that's a good company. I can trust them. I know about them. I heard about them." And the next time they need auto repair, they think about us first. And so having that, we absolutely understand that there's a lot of, competition for us, but there's a lot of choices on the customer side to where you take your vehicle if you hear that weird thumping sound under the hood. And it could be back to the dealership. It could be to your independent shop that you've always gone to around the corner. Or it could be to a Metro Motor. And marketing helps us differentiate ourselves and kind of be a step above the rest to where you would choose Metro Motor versus those other options.
For sure. What does a typical day look like for you, being part of the marketing side of the company?
There's no typical day, which always keeps me on my toes, which is a lot of fun. But in terms of things that I handle on any given daily basis, for instance, right now we're opening up 2 new locations, and so getting them outfitted with everything branding related, and that could be from the kind of check-in sheets that a customer fills out when they're on their first visit to a Metro Motor location, having those available and on site and branded at that new location, to the decals on the windows, or the promotional material inside, or the sign on the wall, getting permits approved from county officials through that can be always a lot of fun. But then on the other side, we have responding to Google reviews, which are so important these days. We use them for live feedback from customers. So if somebody has an issue, let's address it. Thankfully, most things that come through are 5 stars, which we love, but we do want to take care of those folks as well, and let them know we are listening to them as well, and responding to those reviews. It could also be managing ads, Google campaigns, print campaigns. We have a lot of partnerships for, as you mentioned in the wonderful introduction, about community partners and neighborhood associations, schools in our communities as well that we sponsor. And so managing all those relationships and helping kind of percolate the Metromotor brand throughout the community is how most of my days are spent.
For sure. No, that's awesome. And what was the main inspiration on getting with the local community businesses or schools, and has it really helped you guys foster that positive environment around the company, seeing people that you've been partnering with schools and everything?
Absolutely. I think it comes back to trust, as I mentioned. So if if you're going to school, or you're dropping your kids off at school rather, and they, you see that Metromotor is sponsoring the upcoming, football season or whatever it might be. One that you see our name and you think, that's great, I'll give them a shout. But also, we are in these neighborhoods. It's not that we're this, remote foreign entity that's just telling you buy our products. We're actually just around the corner from the communities and schools and initiatives that we sponsor. And so that kind of reinforces that, we're not here just to, get a buck from you and, send you on your way in your vehicle. It's actually, we're investing in the communities itself. And I think people really respond well to that. If you live, if you go to school in that community, you live in that community, which means you drive in that community, which means it's easier to come to our shop than anywhere else. And we want to make sure that you do that.
Especially if they see that you're putting back out to the community, because that's a big thing to a lot of people is giving back to the community, especially business owners, because a lot of people think business owners are, we want all the money we can get. But as soon as you start giving back to community, it really changes the perspective on a consumer, and
for sure
can really benefit your company in a big way.
Yeah.
What are some of the kind of major shifts that you're seeing in the automotive industry? Obviously, there's a bunch of new technologies from diagnostics to electric vehicles. What are some of the biggest trends or shifts that you're seeing in the industry at the moment?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, it would be more hospitality driven. So as I mentioned, kind of that getting away from that dark, dingy, grungy perspective of auto repair. And especially in our shops, we work very hard to have them always impeccably clean, well lit. We bring folks into the garage. If there's an issue with your car, we use tech in ways to make everything more transparent and open. So we'll have our service managers, under the vehicle itself, recording, hey, this is what your brake pads look like. This is not good, because this is what they should look like, having those kind of live, this is your vehicle, here's the issue and the safety concern that we're seeing. And then if you're nearby, come on by, we'll bring you in and we'll show you as well in person. Just having that level of transparency, I think, is great, but then making the shop itself a place where you would want to walk in there and not worry about brushing up against a surface.
For sure.
So keeping things bright and welcoming and accommodating, and having a friendly face when you come in, saying, hey, welcome to Metromotor. I'm Paul, I'll be your service manager today. Let's get you sorted. Having that kind of face-to-face connection with people and just being hospitable, I think, is a trend. I don't know if I'm seeing it a lot, but it's the trend that we're starting, at least here at Metromotor.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Going to be pioneers, I guess, in that.
That's super cool, because like you said, you walk into a shop and you think it's this dark, dingy place, and it's true. And there's a lot of companies that don't really look at keeping their areas clean, keeping their shops clean, and approaching their customer with a smile, right? A lot of people think it's a shop, it's going to be dirty. But yeah, if you guys can change that around, it's going to make a huge impact on your customer base, and people are going to be really happy. Like, wow, these guys really take care of their shop. They're really going to take care of my vehicle, and they're going to do good work.
Yeah, and what is a little bit different about us as well is that each of our repair shops are partnered with a fuel partner. So we'll have Shell, BP, Exxon, Mobil, gas stations as well. So there's a huge volume of traffic that comes through each of our shops and our convenience stores just because they're fueling up. And so if we can convince them, if they're dropping $20 in the tank, You've got a minute there to convince them that, hey, you don't need auto repair right now, but this is a nice looking place. These people look nice and friendly. Maybe if my brakes start squealing, I'll turn in here next time. And so
For sure.
that I think is a tremendous kind of putting the best foot forward for us as well.
No, for sure. That's totally awesome. I totally agree with that. So with technology more towards the marketing side, you have a bunch of AI solutions. You have a bunch of AI starting to come out right now. And how have you guys kind of slowly been adapting to the times in 2025 with how fast AI has been moving, and how have you guys been implementing those systems?
AI can be a really great tool, and we do. It's a really great way for a lot of, if you're a technician and you don't know how to perfectly explain the problem or, convey it in a way that a customer might understand. You might know exactly what's going on with this car.
Yeah.
You might not be able to translate that into a way that, somebody that doesn't know a lot about cars would understand. And so AI is a great tool for that. You can plug in some prompts and have a little paragraph pop up. Oh yeah, this is a great way to explain the issue, and kind of help coach yourself through how to translate this to an audience. On my side, on the marketing end, I personally, I somewhat resist AI, only in the sense that it can generate a lot of mistakes. And I think it takes away that kind of community, neighborhood trust feel. If you call a Metromotor and you get a robot, that you don't trust a robot. I don't think you ever will, right? You want to speak to somebody, the person that actually has their hands on the vehicle itself.
For sure.
And so while we embrace tech in a lot of ways, in kind of the tools and techniques and implementations that we use, the AI side of things I push back a little bit more on, just because I want a human at the end of the day, answering the phone call, telling me what the issue is with my car, helping me through the process. I think that just reinforces our, we're here, you can trust us, we're actual people in your neighborhood.
For sure.
Maybe there are others that have other opinions, and AI certainly is a fantastic tool, but I do think that hospitality requires a person on the end of the line, not a machine.
No, that's totally true, and I think there's going to be a lot of shops and companies adapting to that AI agent on the other end of the phone, and people might end up getting sick of it, right? They're going to be like, oh, another robot, where they're actually going to look forward to speaking to someone on the phone.
For sure.
The one thing I like about the agent on the other end of the phone is if you guys are super busy, no one can answer phone calls. At least there's someone there that's going to pick up the phone instead of the call ending. So
100%. Yeah. And being there, meeting the customer wherever they might be, that's always important. We have kind of automated AI-powered booking tools. So if you're on our website, you can make an appointment. You don't need to talk to a service manager. You can just follow the prompts. Boom, you're scheduled for tomorrow at 2 p.m. But I always want there to be a person if you need them.
For sure. No, definitely makes sense. Yeah, it's nicer dealing with people one-on-one than having to try to get through electronics to end up spending days to finally get to a person and actually ask a question.
And it does it does depend too on the customer. So we have some older generation customers that if you give them a robot on the end of the line that says press that they're going to rebel against that. Especially in kind of our setup here in the DC metro area, it very much depends what neighborhood you're in, kind of the demographic that you are. And so it's very interesting, kind of the different motivations and the different ways that people approach tech through different shops. Some of the younger generation, they don't want to talk to a human at all, right? They're just like, no, here are the keys. That's the only involvement I want to be. Everything else, just send me a text, right? And we can do that. But that doesn't work for everybody, and we want to be able to help everybody.
Diversify your experience with every single consumer. So that's super cool. What do you see as the biggest opportunities and the biggest challenges on automotive repair shops in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for companies that do things well. And I say that in the sense that when our operations director the other day kind of was proposing that maybe we represent 5% of auto repair in the DC metro area, which sounds like a small percentage, but that means there's 95% room to grow, right?
Yeah.
And we're already a pretty large company. And so I think if you do things well and you treat your customers well, there's opportunity to grow. And I think that as kind of I go back, if we clean up our shops, if we clean up our act, greet people with a smile, greet people with a friendly message. I think those are the opportunities for growth. Implementing more tech, certainly. So if you can diagnose a vehicle quickly, more accurately, have parts delivered more quickly, have the vehicle out the doors more quickly, all of those things that tech can certainly help with, just improve the customer experience as well. So I don't have to wait 6 days to get my car back. I could be in a lift right away, and then a lift comes and picks me up at the end of the day to collect the car. So all of those kind of tech empowered things that make it easier to get your car work done. Those are certainly, I think, trends that if they aren't happening, they absolutely should, because customers are going to demand them for sure.
For sure. And trends in the marketing side of things. So you guys are, I'm assuming, are running ads, getting your name out there, getting your product out there. Is the market getting very saturated, or what are some of the trends that you're seeing more in the marketing content side of things?
Yeah. So content generation is kind of key to dominate Google. So just having Google recognize you as an authority for auto repair saves you money, because then you don't have to spend an ad to tell somebody I'm an authority in auto repair. It comes free because you rank higher, right? So content is certainly a driving force behind a lot of marketing just these days, because you have to be online, you have to be producing stuff so that you can be found. It helps with us that we have a large footprint, and we have kind of adjunct services like towing and collision repair, so that it's kind of a feeding ecosystem. But at the same time, getting in front of new customers, making sure that people are aware of the brand, all of that takes a good bit of work, and content is certainly one of the top ways to get that done.
No, for sure, that makes total sense. For the goal, what are some of the goals of the company for the next 6 to 12, and then what are long-term goals? You said you guys are moving in, opening a couple more shops. That's super exciting. Do you mind speaking about some of the goals that you guys have in mind for the company?
Yeah, we're actually going through that exercise now as a company. Kind of our executive team is sitting down and putting some thought behind that. I think definitely growing our footprint within the DC metro area, if not beyond that, I think is certainly within the short-term goal as well. Expanding our available, collision repair centers, expanding our towing fleet, making services easier for customers. I mentioned that as kind of something that we're always striving to do. But if you can walk through the door and walk out the door a couple seconds later and feel great about everything, if we can make it that easy on you, then that's something that we should strive to do. So those are kind of more short-term goals. I think long-term growth for the company, maybe expanding beyond the DC metro area. I'm not quite sure. That's exciting to contemplate.
For sure, yeah.
But I think, as we'll rendezvous again in a month when our executive team has hammered out some of these things. We have a lot of ideas. Which of those become kind of our action plan? That's the next step to discuss.
For sure. No, that's super exciting. How many, or who are the leaders of Metro Motor that you're working with, and like the owners of the company?
So we have. It's interesting. So we have a kind of a lateral ownership, I guess, arrangement. So there are individuals that own a piece of one shop. There are individuals that own a piece of multiple shops, or an individual shop all themselves. And so that kind of executive team is facilitated by marketing, which covers all the shops. We have an operations team that covers all the shops, and kind of HR services, things that fall within the Metro Motor brand. The team, I will say, is one of the best I've ever worked with, which makes the job so much easier when you trust and have faith in the people around you. They're all doing their jobs phenomenally well, and that goes down from the cashiers at the counter all the way on up to the owners level. Everybody really pitches in, and everybody can do I don't want to say everybody can do everybody's job, because you do not want me under the hood by any means, but everybody trusts that everybody's doing their job. And if a hand is needed, nobody is better than the ability to lend that hand. So I think that that's what makes the company work as an organism, keep moving forward as an organism, is that we trust each other. And I do mean organism because I do, not just an organization, but like this living, breathing entity that is 100 plus odd employees. I think that you need to have trust and faith in your fellow teammates so that you can keep getting better, and you want to get better, not just stagnate at the current level.
For sure. No, that totally makes sense. Do you guys have plans to venture in towards kind of dealer side of things as well, or do you guys want to stay towards more of the collision kind of repair, towing side of things?
Yeah, so right now we handle pretty much all a customer needs outside of buying and purchasing a vehicle. So the in between, we can take care of. I personally would love to see us venture into car wash and auto detailing, because that's the one that we don't have a hand in right now. I also think it's a great adjunct service as well. So if your vehicle comes through any port of entry to a Metro Motor, if we can offer you a complimentary wash as well, I think that's such tremendous value that people find. And also it's a great business to be in. So I think I personally would love to see that. I'll need to convince some others above me to agree with that. But I think just offering more services within that realm of, if you've got a vehicle and you need something with that vehicle, you can come to Metro Motor and insert whatever X or Y is in that blank. But that's an area where we could grow into for sure.
No, that's awesome, and that's huge, right? You just want to be there for your consumer in every aspect. Like, I was speaking to someone the other day, Brady Schmidt, and he's quite successful, and he owns dealerships, he owns repair shops, but he wants to be that go-to guy, and he wants to venture into house as well. So if, say, he could take care of their vehicle, but a lot of people that own vehicles, houses, right? He wants to be able to have companies that can take care of their house. He just wants to be there for their company, and that's exactly what you guys are looking for as well, right? You guys want to be there at every step of the process to help your customer with every single step they need.
And there's efficiencies there, because if you have a customer base, let's say for auto repair, it's an easy customer base to tell, hey, we also have collision repair, right? And then they trust to know the Metro Motor brand here, so they'll trust to know it there. And so having that one kind of consistent brand does make growing into various channels a little bit more easy. It makes it risky as well, because if it doesn't succeed, if my car wash idea fails, then Metro Motor is associated with something that didn't work out. But I think in terms of attracting customers and getting them in the door, having that solid brand, that consistent, reliable, trustworthy brand, certainly makes it easier to then grow and expand into other realms as well. As long as they're related. You don't want us like a Metro Motor cotton candy company or something completely unrelated, because why would you trust us to make cotton candy? But yeah,
for sure. No, it's hugely beneficial for the company, and it's super cool that you guys have that vision in mind of helping your customers with every single aspect of their vehicle. Through your journey of being a professional marketer, being around the world, what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned through your journey that you'd be willing to share with us?
Well, I will say it again, treat the customer well. I think at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters. If you treat them well, even if you have a bad day, you have a mix up or a mess up, or a part didn't arrive on time and you've got to keep the car another day, things like that. Customers will be very forgiving, and they're very understanding as well, as long as you're open and transparent and communicate with them. I think a lot of the frustration with auto repair comes in that shadiness aspect of, I don't know what's happening in that garage door. I assume they're scamming me. All those kind of things that build up defenses between a customer and the business. So I think, if you treat your customer well, those kind of come down, and you can move forward together. So I think that's definitely something that I see. I also am a huge believer in partnerships. So having, not only community partnerships that we give to, but other, building really great relationships with your suppliers and your parts distributors, things like that. Because I'll give you an example here. In April, we hosted our inaugural Wiper Week, which is a week-long celebration, kind of in the spirit of Shark Week or like Fat Bear Week that they do up in the Pacific Northwest. In that spirit, we had a whole week devoted to windshield wipers and kind of the importance of keeping, clear visibility on the roads, not just for drivers and obviously passengers in the vehicle, but also for bicyclists and pedestrians and motorbike drivers, right? So we had a week-long celebration of the windshield wiper, and we gave away, I think, around 3,000 windshield wipers that we not even gave away. We installed for free on those vehicles that came through. So we had pop-up installation shops in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. People could register in advance, so we knew what vehicle they were driving. We know, obviously, what windshield wiper they required. And like an assembly line, they lined up. We just threw them on, and we even had timed competitions with our staff. Just how quickly can you change out a windshield wiper? And day one, it was averaging like a minute and 20 seconds, a minute and 40 seconds to get both front, windshield wipers. And by the second day, it was like 23 seconds, and you're good to go. But I bring this up in relation to the partnership example. It's just that our partner for that particular initiative was Rain-X and Mighty, which is a parts distributor here in the DC metro area. They might actually be nationwide, I'm not sure. But our partner is local, and just having them that we could rely on and count on to, one, get us the product. We didn't know how popular this was going to get. We had the mayor of DC issue a proclamation about Wiper Week, so that was really fun. We were on a lot of news programs. So having the flexibility to call them up and say, hey, we're going to need more wipers, right? How quickly can you get them over to us? And also just working with us, Mighty, which is a tremendous partner of ours, sent out guys to actually help, manage the installation itself. So getting the right wipers off the truck onto the windshield so architects could install them. If I just cold called somebody that we'd never worked with before and said, hey, would you give a week of your time to me to do this community initiative? A lot of people would probably say no. So having that tremendous partnerships makes things just easier to work with. And we also kind of tapped organizations like the DC Bicycle Alliance, the Pedestrian Council, things like that have a stake in this to come on board as well. So I think at the end of the day, it was much more successful and much more impactful and meaningful for the community because we worked with other people and just didn't try to do it ourselves because we would not have been able.
No, that's super cool. And then, like you said, the guys, a lot of the technicians were having fun doing competition, and that brings back to employee morale, right? You're keeping them happy, keeping them having fun, and that's the most important thing. You want everyone to show up every day with a smile on their face, loving their job, and that's another way you guys add to that adventure of working at Metro Motor. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and because they were pop-up locations, like what our Capitol Hill location has the smallest footprint. So if I had sent hundreds of vehicles there to get windshield wipers, they would have murdered me because there's no way that they could have processed that. So instead, we had pop-up locations partnering with the DC vehicle inspection station, so where to get your vehicle certified with a sticker. A Montgomery County Mall, which was great because they have a huge parking lot to work with.
For sure.
And one of our auto repair shops in Northern Virginia has a tremendous floor print as well, so we were able to liaise with that location. But we mix and match technicians to come in and help. So that was something that the guys really enjoyed, and girls as well, is that they weren't working with their team from Bethesda or from the Palisades. They were mixed and thrown in with people they hadn't worked with. They might have seen at the holiday party, but they hadn't worked with. So that was a lot of fun as well, just kind of getting to know folks, building that team morale, for sure.
That's awesome. That's totally cool. And I have one final question for you. Where can the audience find Metro Motor? Where can they find you if they have any questions? Your social media, your website.
Metromotor.com is the easiest way. If you're in the DC area or Northern Virginia or Maryland, stop by one of our shops. Hopefully they treat you well. If they don't, let me know, because then I'll have to make a phone call. But yeah, stop by any of our shops or find us online at metromotor.com. We also are across the socials at Motor Forward, our social media handle. And yeah, that's where you can come, and hopefully we'll show you a good time.
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and taking your time to spend with me and have a discussion with me. That was super cool, and loved hearing about the brand and kind of how you guys just how you guys function, right? And take care of your customers, number one, and take care of your employees, number two, and giving them that extra benefit of working with Metro Motor and taking that next step.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no worries. Thank you.